See all this paperwork here? This is tax season. Welcome to hell. For those of you that are small business people, like myself, or at least I have been most of my life, I don't like this time of year because you have to pay Uncle Sam a big chunk of what you've earned this past year, and it can actually be very shall I say intrusive, or taxation without representation. I mean, it'll drive a body to drink. It really will. It's ridiculous. I have this book that I bought a few years back called, it's written by Neil Boortz, Fair Tax. I'm sure you've heard me talk about it in some of my previous podcasts. But in his book, The Fair Tax, he exemplifies the way that most of us feel deep down when it comes to letting go of our money that we earned, that we have to in turn around and give back to Uncle Sam and all the wars and to fund all this craziness that the government is into. And why do they do this? We've talked about this over and over and over, and believe me, I'm not a Masonic, but this is the symbol on the dollar, the pyramid with the eye, the all-watching eye that watches over everyone. The guy at the top above the eyeball is immune. That group of people is immune to anything. They don't have to obey the laws. They're the elite. And what they've done is they pulled puppet strings from two parties, the Reds and the Blues, and they merged those two together into their great power pyramid scheme. And it's a Ponzi scheme, and it works like this. We tell all these people at the bottom they don't have to pay anything. You're going to earn up to $400,000 before we'll touch you. Okay? The middle class, which is the bulk of the pyramid, these are the taxpayers, the real taxpayers. That's me, that's you, that's anybody that's earning an honest to God living, rolling up our sleeves and doing whatever's necessary to make this damn nation, move. Whether it's plowing the field, working the farms in California, or driving the trucks to eastern Missouri. I mean, whatever it takes to deliver the goods so that we can survive as a culture. That's the working class, and that's what is the backbone of our country. Now, taxation without representation is when they intrusively make it so impossible to earn a living because of the ridiculous regulations that they impose upon us, and they milk us dry at the same time for all the money they can get. So what's a body to do? We can't rebel. I mean, come on, we all got guns, a lot of the rednecks in the South especially, but we can't go against the government. That's insane. But the people at the very top are begging for that fight. They want us to fight amongst ourselves. They want to portray half the country as being red and the other half as being blue, and they want those two to fight. You know why? Because if we're fighting and Russia has plans to invade from the north, China has plans to invade from the east, Arabs are going to attack from the west, and the cartel attacks from the south. What do you think that's going to do to us if we're in the middle of a civil war? It's not going to be very pretty, is it? And we've survived every civil war that we've ever had, but it becomes very difficult when we're trying to fight against four separate entities. And the fifth element, let's say, is ourselves. Our worst enemy is ourselves in this country. We are our own worst enemy. Look how fat we are. Look how fat we are. This is the kind of shit that doesn't help. Fentanyl is the big killer, though. I think there were more people killed last year on fentanyl alone than all the wars combined that same year. I mean, we're killing our people by allowing China to just throw drugs out there willy-nilly. We don't know what's in those drugs until we pop the pill. and they flooded our gates with their fentanyl pill lookalike candies and shit like that. You can't even trust your kid to go out trick-or-treating anymore. He's liable to come home. The next day you find his dead body in bed from one of the candies that he ate. So it's a scary thing what's happening in our country. It's scary. What's the answer? What's the answer? What's a mother to do? I heard my mother say when I was 2, shitting in my diapers, running all over the place, playing the fool like kids do, the terrible twos. What's a mother to do? Well, I'll tell you what a dad will do. A dad will come in there with a belt and he'll wear your butt out unless you get in line. And that, my friend, is the key to what we need in this country. We need more dads and more belts and more kids that shiver and they're afraid of their fathers because their fathers are the king of his own castle. And when he says jump, the kids better jump, okay? Now, he doesn't do it with hate. He does it with love. Now, I'm not the best father in the world myself, but I never tolerated my son to talk back to my mother the way I was allowed to talk back to my mother. My parents, I'm sorry, but you can look at all mental illness as stemming from 2 things. Either you got screwed up parents or you got screwed up genes. And some people are stuck with both. I got a little dose of both. My genes are screwed up because my father was diagnosed as schizophrenic. My mother was diagnosed as manic depression. I think that's bipolar. And she died of Alzheimer's on top of all that shit. So I got horrible genes. That's why they call me Crazy Dave. And I have been there, but done that. Buddy, I'm going to tell you, I tell some people I was born in an insane asylum. That's how crazy my family was. But is divorce the answer? Is divorce really the answer? Maybe some of these other cultures have nailed it when they have arranged marriages. They know this boy comes from a good family. He's got good bloodline. And we've got a daughter over here that we want to pair them up together. You know, maybe that would be a solution. I don't know. When it comes to politics and religion, I'm going to be honest, I'm a total agnostic. I'm an agnostic about religion. I don't know. I just know what works for me. I've got my own personal recipe, and I'm not going to share that with you. You should have your own recipe. I tell you one thing, I'm not afraid to die, but I know that there are no atheists in a foxhole. If you're dodging bombs, and they're going up over your head, there are no atheists in a foxhole. So you'll get right with God real quick when you know you're going to die and meet your maker. When you're about to die and meet your maker. Okay? And who is the maker? According to the Hindus, the oldest religion, it's pure energy, Shiva. According to the Buddhist, it's the Buddha, like Christ, our Savior in Christianity. Or the Egyptians, Horus, who was very identical in his footsteps of Christ. I mean, he had 12 disciples. He was crucified, raised from the dead. The 3rd day he rose. You know, the same kind of scenario. That's Egyptian. But that was way back yonder. And then before that, there was Atlantis, and they burned down the Library of Alexandria. It's similar. You can't, if you wipe out history by pulling down statues, that's not going to solve the problem. That's only going to erase the history that led us up to this point. And if we understand history, then maybe we can figure out ways to not let it repeat itself so often. I think it was Voltaire that said, move of the masses tend to be a repetition of that goes into infinity. People are people. And when the top of the mountain gets too crowded, the rats start fighting and they end up running in one direction and they all run off the cliff. And then there's just a few left and they'll start repopulating. That's a little bit kind of like humans are. Maybe we got too many people on the planet. I don't know. I've heard some scientists say that, well, I don't know how many billions of people are populating the earth now, but if they're like a cancer, answer. Look what we're doing to our planet. We're polluting it out of, we're polluting it to the point where it's going to be hard for anybody to exist 100 years from now if we continue this madness. So where does this madness stem from? What do you think? What's this mean? Money. The worship of mammon and man himself. If you worship another man, you have sinned, my friend. To me, the worship of man who possesses all the mammon, which is money, is a sign of weakness. It's a sign of slavery. It's a sign that we should all try to, well, you have to have a little money to survive, true. But to worship money and to strive, put all your energy into being like that guy just because he's got money. Well, look at the kind of character he is. Is he really the kind of guy you'd want to be like? He's got all this money and he's so bored with his life that he decides he's going to shuffle the deck and see who's going to come out the winner on the next go round. That's called World War III. In World War III, there will be no winners. There might be a couple of survivors, but there won't be any winners. So I like, when I play cards, I don't like, I'll take 3 more cards, or I'll take 2, or, I like 5 cards stud. That's kind of what life is to me. It's you're dealt 5 cards, and you play those cards. And how you play those cards depends on you and how good you are at bluffing. You ever heard the expression, fake it till you make it? There's something to that, there really is. But you can be sure that your sins will find you out in the end. Because, my friend, when you die, you don't really die. Your soul lives forever. It might go down to a little tiny orb, but there's a vestige of existence that never dies. It's called your soul. And that goes for infinity, as far into the future as you can imagine. So it never dies. It just has to keep reliving the life that you led while you were on earth. That's your heaven or hell. Your heaven is what you make it right now, because you're going to take that with you. And it rolls over. It's in a loop from birth to death. That life is relived again and again and again. And that's what a theoretical philosopher once told me. I think I was looking at him when I was talking to myself in the mirror. David, you can't figure it all out for yourself. You'll have to turn to God for answers. And so then I asked myself, well, is this a voice that I'm hearing in the background? No, these are your thoughts. You are me. I am you. We are one. David. David. What's your name? Jack? Pete? Sue? Marianne? Karen? You're one person. And in that one person, you have to know yourself. Just like Socrates. If you know yourself inside and out, if you can do mental acrobats, you know what an acrobat is, jump something. If you can do mental gymnastics and turn yourself inside out and look at yourself in the mirror and see yourself for all the shit that you've done to other people and the kind of character you really are, when they turn their backs, what have you done? You knew that there was nobody looking. You'd never get caught. There's your character right there. You have to live with that. If you don't have a conscience, you have to live with that. And how do you get a conscience? Boom. Mama and daddy. 3 or 4 brothers. That's a family. But they all come from one daddy. You see, to me, when you get married, and this is a serious topic. When you get married to another person, and I'm not going to get into righteousness of whether it's right or wrong for a woman to marry a woman or a man to marry a man. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying when you find your life partner and you marry that person, your lifelong kindred spirits, and that bond shall never die. It's till death do you part. I believe, I'm from the old school, and I believe that it's based on 3 things: love, honor, and obey. And when I say obey, I mean you both have to obey one another. It's 50 fucking 50. That is really a challenge. When you give of yourself to your partner and you say, I am one with you, that means that if anything happens to your partner that watches your backside, is your best friend, that whatever happens to that person is happening to you. So if somebody insults your better half and you don't defend them, then you're a coward. You're only allowing yourself to be abused. You guard and protect your better half. Now, women are smarter than men. It's been tested. It's in the laboratory. Men are stronger than women. And that's the dichotomy. Man is the protector, and the woman's the caregiver. She builds the nest, and the man protects the nest from predators. That's the same way you'd find in nature, and that's the way I see it with humans. And here again, that's just my opinion. And with this, I'm going to close this little sermonette because you're probably getting sick of hearing some of the same stuff over and over and over. I'm a preacher at heart. I sold life insurance door to door. That's how I cut my teeth. I was in the Army doing that shit, going door to door on my off time because I was so enthused with getting out and shaking hands and meeting people. Will I ever become a politician? Fuck no. Are you crazy? You'll just jump into that cesspool of what I call a swampland. Who labeled that? Clean up the swamp. It is. It's true. There's a swamp out there. It's called politics. And if you ever want to see somebody lie, just turn on the television and wait for a politician to come on the air. And as soon as he starts to move his lips, listen closely, because about half of the shit that he says is a lie. Same with the media. The media is controlled by the elite. Half the shit they say is a lie. There is so much bullshit out there. You can't believe anything that's advertised on TV. They don't check it. They don't check all the ingredients on what they ship out to our kids on cereal boxes. I mean, they're putting stuff in food right now that not only addicts you, they make you fat. Think about it. Your best diet is what you do yourself. You want a healthy diet, get out and get your damn fresh vegetables and cook you up a batch of soup or something and eat off that damn thing for a week. You'll save money. You'll be a hell of a lot healthier. And don't eat fried foods. Eat grilled meats. Grilled meats. I don't even like fish because I think it's maybe mercury or something like that. And I like steak, chicken, little pig every once in a while. That's okay. I like beer. And I love my corn whiskey. Right here. This is Dickel, and it's not really Dickel. I put uncork the cork, and I put a funnel on this thing, and I pour my own corn liquor in there. I got a bunch of that shit cooked up, but this is my own personal batch. I don't sell it. As a matter of fact, I give it away. It's free. I give everything away. As a matter of fact, I'm retired, and I do have a what I call small town job, but it's a training job. It's training me how to become more and more and more of a wizard in my industry, which is insurance. I want to be able to cover myself in knowledge. This is what the doctor told me I have to do if I want to live and avoid Alzheimer's. I have to immerse myself, my brain, in knowledge and study and read and think and meditate and do all the things you're supposed to do that I was too goddamn lazy to do when I retired. When I retired, I went through 2 or 3 years, nothing but TV watching, Gunsmoke, Leave It to Beaver, Father Knows Best, all these reruns, and my brain started to get foggy. I couldn't think. And that's what will happen. You watch too much TV, your brain will turn to jelly. You do much videos, you'll go epileptic. You will. You do anything to excess, it's going to be bad. But in this country, you know, we're addicted to food, corn, anything starchy, anything sweet, and sugar. That creates sugar crystals, and it's proven that diabetes will destroy your mind. The crystals, the sugar crystals alone are just terrible for your brain. And they get in your bloodstream, they get stuck in your brain, and before you know it, you're well, once a man, twice a child. It really will make you childlike. You get forgetful. You can't think as clearly. How can you clean all that shit up? You do it by 3 simple methods. Number 1, stop listening to my tapes. Because I'm reaching to you and you don't listen. So, you know, don't listen to my tapes anymore. But if you do take 2 things away, remember this. If you got a process, you map out what you want to do with your life. That's a process. Then you'll have a big payoff. Now, I stole that idea from somebody, but they didn't call it the PP. They call it the PPP. Colonial Penn Life calls it the PPP. And that's price, price, and price. But listen, it don't matter what kind of acronym or fancy, you know, abbreviation you come up with to help you remember. Do this for yourself. Write it down. What's the most important thing you want in the next 5 years? Write it down. Pin it to the wall. Every day you wake up, you look at that, what you want to do or where you want to be in 5 years, and you think to yourself, now, I got a brand new day in front of me. This is the first day of the rest of my life. What do I want to do with it? Well, I've said enough. I've done enough. Been there, done that. It's not my first rodeo, so let me go and let me get on with my day, because I work 7 to 11, 7 days a week. The only time I have off is what I call PTO. That's paid time off. Don't ask me what I do these days. It's kind of a need to know thing. It's something that I'm concocted, and I'm living the dream. I'm living the dream. So, folks, you be good now. If you're a veteran, come see me. Really, come see me. I'm at Post 127, American Legion here in Atlanta. My name is David Tidwell. Thank you for your time, and God bless you.